Hello, my esteemed viewers. I'd like to welcome you to this edition of today's Speak on the P.O.N channel. On today's Speak, I bring you my analysis on trending issues from my own point of view. And in this particular edition, we will be looking at the fact that the House of Representatives has rejected the offer of the Commander of the Federal Republic, CFR, conferred on its Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, by President Bola Tinubu during his October 1 speech. You recall that the President, on the 64th occasion of Nigeria's independence anniversary, actually announced the conferment of national awards on the likes of Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, the newly sworn-in Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kekere Ekun. Both of them got the second highest title in the land, that is the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, GCON, which is also the title of the Vice President of Nigeria. However, the Speaker of the House of Representatives got the title of the Commander of the Federal Republic, which is believed to be less in value than the GCON. But just 24 hours after that announcement, members of the House of Representatives came out to reject that offer by the President, saying that there is no way the Red Chamber will consistently be treated as superior to the lower chamber, or to the Green Chamber, in this case the House of Representatives. And the motion for that rejection was moved by, of course, Rep. Philip Agbese. Now recall that this is not the first time that the President of the country will be conferring similar honors on past Senate Presidents, Chief Justices of Nigeria, and of course the House of Representatives and their various deputies. So why is this particular one now becoming an issue to the House of Representatives? And there are so many ways to look at it from my point of view, because take it or leave it, this is an issue that has called for discussions for a number of reasons, of which I'm going to be highlighting. But most importantly, as a concerned Nigerian, I would want to ask, is this supposed to be a major concern of our legislators at this time when Nigerians are going through serious economic challenges that require their urgent attention, but for which they have decided to ignore for some time now, especially coming back from a 6-week recess? So that is what we are going to be talking about today. But first of all, let's even start with the fact that the President had to make this announcement as part of his independence national broadcast. I mean, a lot of people have actually criticized the President for making that pronouncement alongside his independence anniversary speech. And believe you me, as a Nigerian, I also felt exactly the same way listening to the President on that day making that declaration. And why is it so? It is not to say that the President does not have the powers to do so, nor to say that conferring honor on those who truly deserve it was a wrong move by the President. That's not the question. The question is how fitting it is for such a declaration to be made at a time when a lot of Nigerians are going through harrowing economic pains. So it perhaps gives Nigerians the impression that the president does not feel the pains that they are going through. That is the truth. Because the fear of many Nigerians, even before President Tinubu came on board, had been that Tinubu is a type who is given to his flair or his love for his fellow elite, and that even the economy of the country was going to be run in such a way that it will favor the political and the ruling class generally. So, coming out to announce such an award or such an honor at a time when a lot of Nigerians are going through serious economic problems was viewed in so many quarters as insensitive to the plight of the people. And if you ask me, I think that is actually the case. Because if the president actually felt a bit of the pains that Nigerians go through, he would know that even if he had to award those he had singled out for this award, he should have kept it in his pocket until when it is time for the awards to be given, rather than putting it in the national broadcast. That's one. Another thing you would want to talk about as far as these awards are concerned would be, are these awards given on merit, or are they tied to the offices of the awardees? In that case, is it to say that these awards are statutory based on the functions of these individuals who got these awards? Or does it have anything to do with their antecedents? This is another place where Nigerians are a bit confused. Because if these awards are given on the basis of the performance of some of these individuals in office, at the moment, if you look at the pedigree of some of these people, particularly the Senate president, most Nigerians will tell you that in his political career, particularly this current office that the Senate president is handling, he has not shown character, he has not shown integrity, and we have so many things to look back to and want to believe that Nigerians who share in this opinion are not far from the truth. Is it the prayer in the mail issue you want to look at, or the fact that concerned Nigerians who wanted to hit the streets to ask of government for the welfare of the people were practically derided by the Senate president, who said they could go ahead protesting while the likes of him will be in their homes whining and dining? That for a lot of Nigerians was an insult. And so many towards comments, so many unbecoming comments that the Senate president has made since he came on board as the #1 lawmaker at the National Assembly. A lot of people will look at this. They will also look at even the current House of Reps speaker. What exactly is his pedigree? How much has he contributed to the Nigerian polity, except that he happens to be the speaker, perhaps because of the geographical region that he comes from? These are all issues that are being put in the front burner and question mark being put on them. What about the Chief Justice of Nigeria, who just resumed less than a week ago? Is it on the basis of her being the Chief Justice of Nigeria that you are giving her that award, or on her pedigree as a lawyer? Yes, the name is one that rings bells in the Nigerian judiciary, no doubt about that. But looking at her pedigree, What contributions has she made to the Nigerian judiciary as of today? These are questions that are actually begging for answers. Another issue that I feel we should also look at is this issue of titles in Nigeria and national honors. We said that our democracy is, modeled after that of the United States, and we borrowed the presidential system of government from the United States. I stand to be corrected because I've tried to dig into the history and structure of the American system of government. Apart from the fact that the president of the United States is called the POTUS, that is POTUS, which is the president of the United States of America, I don't know if the president of America has any other national title like we have the GCFR here in Nigeria. Okay, now assuming he had one, would the same thing be said of the US Senate or the US Congress, as it were? I tried to investigate that, I tried to research into that, but I couldn't come up with any such national honors for the speakers of the US Congress and even the Senate. So I don't know, to that extent I would say I don't know how come about these national honors to serving members of the Nigerian legislature and even the judiciary. What I know of the US is that the highest standard of awards in the US are given to Americans who have distinguished themselves in their service to their fatherland. And mostly, these are for people who are no longer in office. So, these titles that we are giving to ourselves, left, right, and center, where did we get that culture from? And is it something that we should encourage in our country today? For me, I think the US model is better, because for me, honors of this magnitude should be given only to people who truly deserve them and people who have given their best to their country and are no more in the corridors of power. And it is in a bid to celebrate such people for their outstanding leadership qualities that they actually get this honor. And that is what I know happens in the United States of America. But now that the honor has been given to these lawmakers, it has become an issue of contention now at the House of Representatives. And the position of the House of Representatives is that both the Senate and the House are equal. After all, according to them, there is nowhere that the Constitution states that the Senate is higher in status than the House of Representatives. That is the argument of the House of Representatives. But there are a number of ways to look at this. The first thing here is that by law, the Senate President is the chairman of the National Assembly. And that is why at any point in time when you have a joint sitting of the National Assembly, it is presided over by the Senate President and assisted by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. That is the one side to it. On the other hand, over the years, from the inception of the National Assembly, where we practice a bicameral system, we have always known that there are two chambers called either the red chamber and the green chamber, or the upper legislative chamber and the lower legislative chamber. And that is why, in terms of hierarchy, today, the president is the number one citizen, the vice president is the number two citizen, the Senate President is the number 3 citizen, while the Chief Justice of Nigeria is the number 5 citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So if you look at it from this perspective, you want to agree with me that it goes without saying, therefore, that the Senate, even though it is not ingrained constitutionally, that the Senate is higher in status than the House of Representatives. There are some clear indicators that has left us in no doubt that the Senate happens to be higher in status than the House of Representatives. One of the first indicators here is that I don't know if we have seen since the inception of the National Assembly where a member from the Senate later contested an election and moved to the House of Representatives. I doubt if we ever have any of such incidents in our democratic history. What you see is that most people graduate from the House of Representatives to the Senate. There are too many examples to be cited. Just check, you will find all these things there. At the same time, whenever you have screening for key positions to be made in this country, they go to the Senate, not the House of Representatives. Even though we know in the past that someone like Festus Keyamo had fought against that it was wrong to bring such things to the Senate only. Even as we speak, I can't remember that the army chiefs that were sworn in, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, and so many other big public office holders go to the House of Representatives for screening. It has always been the Senate. These for me are clear indications that the upper legislative chamber, which has always been the Senate, is higher in status than the House of Representatives. Even listening to members of the House of Representatives making a case for this particular matter, some of them are mentioning the fact that the Speaker is a 4th citizen of this country, except for this guy in Kano, who, in a bid to correct the impression by his fellow members of the House, called for a situation where both the Senate President and the Speaker should be equated as the number 3 citizens of the country. So it shows that even among themselves at the House of Representatives, it seems they are even confused as to exactly the position that they are fighting to achieve. So perhaps what we can make out of all of this is that while the House of Representatives in the past has acknowledged to be subservient to the Senate, it appears that what they want to achieve now is just to ensure that what they call an anomaly is corrected, and not the fact that before now the Senate had not been seen as higher than the House of Representatives. If they are looking at it from that point of view, well, perhaps they have their work cut out for them, because at the end of the day, even if they want to make that an act, it will have to also go through the Senate for concurrence, just like every other thing that goes to the Senate also goes to the House for concurrence. And will it pass at the Senate? That is a question that we'll be begging for answers. Another contending issue brought up by the House of Representatives here is the fact that in terms of order of seniority, the Speaker is higher than the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Well, that position might be tenable going by how we Nigerians have decided to rate the 3 organs of government in the country, where you have the executive being number 1, the legislative seen as the 2nd, while the judicial arm of government is seen as the 3rd arm. But in reality, There is nowhere the Constitution made it clear that that is supposed to be the order. But if you are to go by the fact that the president, who is seen as the number one citizen of the country, is of the executive, then we can comfortably say that the executive is the number one arm of government in the country. But what about the legislature and the judiciary? How do we view these two? That is a contending question. But as far as norms, as far as sentiments, the legislature remains the second arm of government in the country. Perhaps that is one area that the House of Representatives got it right. Why would the president confer a higher title on the Chief Justice of Nigeria in an arm of government seen as the third, ahead of the Speaker of the House of Representatives? But again, the question would be, if the National Assembly already has one of such titles in the Senate President, why does the President have to duplicate it by giving another of such title to the Speaker, making it two? These are serious questions that will continue to be begging for answers. But most importantly, like I said before, is it responsible enough on the part of our lawmakers to be scrambling for authority, to be scrambling for status at this time when Nigerians are going through harrowing pains that require their urgent attention? Look at what is happening in the petroleum industry, for example. It doesn't look to me like the House of Representatives has done anything to intervene. It seems like the House of Representatives has just decided to fold its arms while the nation wallows in serious economic hardship. And it's very sad that at a time like this, this is where our national legislature will be channeling its energy rather than on things that add value to the lives of an average Nigerian. We can always do much better in this country.
Thank you for watching.